IVM.
Ready, Urjita?
Yeah.
Good enough?
Yeah.
Lipstick powder?
Wow, Abbas.
That's recording. That better record. That better record.
तुम्हें क्या लगता है पॉडकास्टिंग कोई आसान चीज है? इतना ही आसान है तो तुम क्यों नहीं करते एक दिन के लिए?
सर ये थियोरी में बोलना बहुत मुश्किल है पर प्रैक्टिकल में ये करना बहुत डिफिकल्ट है.
ये तो दोनों में डिफिकल्टी हुआ. Welcome to Has It Aged Well. That gives you an idea of how difficult podcasting is because my co-host here could not even do it for one day.
Wow. How dare you.
But that was a quote from the 2001 film Nayak, which is a film we've all grown up watching on the television screen. And joining me in the studio with me is my co-host Urjita Vani. Hi Urjita. Hello. Back from Singapore तो हमने last episode में कर लिया. So now you're back in Kalyan.
Back from Kalyan. That's like Singapore से Kalyan. What a low.
But to talk about Nayak with us in the studio is someone who suggested this movie to be discussed and is maybe not having second thoughts about it. We'll find out more. You've seen him on TV in his business avatar, but he's here to talk about cinema and some very other interesting things. He's a TV anchor and an assistant editor at CNBC TV-18. Like I said, he's known for doing a lot of business shows, but today he's here to have fun. Please welcome to the show, Mangalam Maloo.
Hello. Oh, no. I should be saying, sorry, introductions के लिए हमारे पास time नहीं है. Let's get to the point. That's what we have to say.
That's how it's done.
Brilliant.
Welcome, Mangalam, to Has It Aged Well.
Yes. You made a point on whether I have second thoughts or not and all. Well, I had a lot of second thoughts.
Right.
But now that we've committed, let's be the Chief Minister
we'll
for a day.
stick to it. But before we get into Nayak, Mangalam, I have to say, you have been one of the longest podcast fans, listeners that I have seen for a long time. I used to produce Cyrus back in 2017-18 and you've been listening to that show for the longest time.
Yeah.
And even for Has It Aged Well and other IBM pop shows, you're a regular listener. So first of all, thank you for being a ardent fan.
One of those listeners.
One of those listeners.
I have to tell you whether this show has aged well or not. We don't know. IVM and the content that they put out has definitely aged very well, and I've been with it for 6 years and more as a listener.
Yeah.
You guys are like friends.
Oh,
it's a lot
thank
of fun.
you so much.
Oh.
We're going to use that across all IVM shows now, whether regardless of whatever. That's going to be our new intro after the IVM ding dong. After the IVM dong. So that sounds so wrong. I'm sorry. I didn't mean IVM dong. I meant
इसके पीछे वो music शय्यम तोरियम कार्यम
Hey, did you manage to figure out what those lyrics were?
I thought they...
शौर्यम धैर्यम कार्यम.
So-
I think those are just words of like
shloks, yeah.
yeah.
Some Sanskrit words put
Yeah.
together.
Yeah.
I'm sure if you listen carefully, there would be some Mangalam there as well.
Oh, yeah.
Should be.
What's the final? Da, 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 da.
संषधे सराम युवम like I
Wow,
think
Rita.
technology. I'm guessing that.
What
that's
sound system do you have in your house?
Or you could just preside over a wedding or something with all these words.
Are we married now? Me and Mangalam.
Wow.
No, that's not possible because that's...
Yes, say his name thrice and you are married.
Let me just say, in 10 years from now, if you're watching this and the marriage is valid, then this episode has aged well.
Well,
And I'll be an official priest or something.
Yeah, I guess. But Mangalam, like I mentioned, you are known for your business side of things. You follow the markets and you do shows on television. How do you unwind? Is movies something you're genuinely passionate about, or do you just see them as a method of relaxation?
movies actually, it's very difficult for one to say that they're passionate about it or not
Right.
because they've always been there. So you don't actively become passionate about movies. They just become your de facto mode of unwinding. And the era that I could say you and I grew up in, movies were the
Sorry,
only
Urjita.
source of fun entertainment, and there were those Govinda movies. There were, a bunch of movies that you watched just because they were there on TV.
On TV,
You didn't have to
yeah,
choose
yeah,
what you
yeah.
watched. They chose what you
The
would
audience.
watch today.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So yeah, I that was how you passively became fans
Exactly.
of movies, and that's how Nayak came to one.
In fact, yeah, almost like every episode we start by asking the person their first memories of watching the film.
Yes.
And I realized nobody has a first memory of watching Nayak because it was just always on television.
Yes, it's
no
a
matter
continuum.
what.
It's no point. Yes,
We were born with Nayak in our system.
In our
I
system.
you were
feel.
born with Nayak in your systems.
Yeah.
We just grew along.
They inherited it, whereas we.
वो नहीं है नया कंप्यूटर हम जब भी लेते हैं तो
हाँ,
उसमें
हाँ,
कैसे एक कोई ना कोई फिल्म रहती है कोई तो घोड़ों वाले वीडियो चल रहे हैं
Firmware जो software रहता है, garage band.
So for us
नए
I
phone
think
में रहता ही
Nayak
है.
was always there in our
Always
systems.
there, yeah, true.
I don't remember it watching for the first time.
So Nayak was one channel on your TV along with so
Yeah,
many channels
yeah.
which were there.
But Mangalam, I would like to read out the message that you sent me once in a
Don't.
Hey,
range.
that's a spoiler for this episode.
That hasn't
No,
aged
so we'll
well.
find out if that is actually the case or
You
not.
know what? I take this up as a challenge. I'm going to convince you that this is actually a good movie.
No, I mean, I am convinced in my head that this is a good movie, but when I watch it again, I'm like, no, this is not. So it's a fight. It's an internal
Okay,
fight.
we'll get there. We'll get there.
Let's
So
go.
on 11th May 2023,
Wow.
Mangalam slid into my DMs on Instagram.
And now that's culminated into a wedding, a marriage. Yeah.
It happened that long ago?
Yeah.
What took you so long to
No,
call
but we
him?
scheduled him and then the office caught fire.
Well,
Was
shouldn't.
it sabotage? We will never know. Was someone preventing us?
Shauryam, dhairyam, karye, vish.
So Mangalam message like, hello, was listening to Has It Aged Well? You know what would be a great movie to speak about? Nayak, all caps, Nayak. It's a cult classic, political, meme-worthy, worth a revisit 22 years later. I can join if you want. And I read that and I was like, yeah, why not? I mean, Nayak is one of the films we've grown up watching. Let's do it. Cut to 2.5 or so months later, Mangalam quotes the message where he says that, you know what would be a great movie to speak of Nayak? And he says, this message hasn't aged well. So, Mangalam, you saw Nayak, revisited Nayak. When was the last time you saw it and what did you think of when you watched it this time around?
It was very, very long. The last time I saw it, I realized that I never saw Nayak at a stretch. So it was always parts of the movie that you liked.
Yeah.
And when I sent you that message, I had the idea of a movie in my head. And then when I sat through the entire chronology of the way the movie went, I realized maybe it hasn't aged well at all. And
Okay.
I don't even know what I can talk about that movie because there are so many good things about that movie. Urjita will obviously tell us a lot more about that. But I couldn't sit through a lot of the CGI, couldn't sit through a lot of most of the songs, despite being a die-hard A.R. Rahman fan.
Yeah.
There was Johnny Lever, who's so funny.
Oh, that has not
His
aged well
worst
at all.
performance
Yeah.
ever, I would
Agreed.
say,
Agreed.
arguably. And yeah, so many things.
Okay,
I was just thinking, yeah.
This is interesting because Urjita is positive on this film. I am also mostly positive on Nayak. This time around,
Wow,
when I saw
so
it,
I am the non-Nayak of this Nayak here.
So I have one counter for your CGI point.
Yes.
यार एक तो ना मैं CGI मैं थोड़ा ना माफ कर देती हूँ
हाँ,
because
ठीक
for
है.
me aging when it comes to movies it only applies to the story and the dialogues. VFX मतलब ये तो ऐसी बात हो गई ना कि तुम एक्सपेक्ट कर रहे हो कि यू नो जो अभी जो एनिमेटर जो बनाते हैं जो प्रॉपर
Yeah.
एनिमेटर्स अपने कंप्यूटर पे बनाते हैं यू एक्सपेक्टेड देम टू मेक समथिंग लाइक दैट इन 2005. उनके पास वो था ही
even
नहीं.
earlier, 2001.
हाँ उनके पास वो था ही नहीं रिसोर्सेस कैसे बनाएंगे. सो आई फील लाइक CGI इट कुड हैव बीन.
Come to think of that, मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि even that time it was tacky. Even in 2001.
Amrish Puri as a snake.
Exactly.
Not Amrish Puri. It was.
It was
Puri
Amrish
also.
Oh, Amrish Puri also?
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
everyone
yeah.
was a snake.
Yeah,
Everyone was
Amrish
given a
Puri,
snake character.
Everybody who was against their union or just
Ah.
Anil Kapoor as himself.
Okay.
Just
वो
that
सब
song.
थे.
Every other CGI, you can manage. You know those fight sequences and all. ठीक है. That's
Okay, you
aged
could have
okay.
a problem with the pan sequence, the one where they share the pan, the pan. Oh, you don't
What version
remember
is this
that?
even? I don't
Remember
remember
that,
this.
yeah.
You don't remember that? Oh, that song Rukhi Sukhi Roti, the first
Yeah.
love song. उसमें
I always.
You
Acha,
skip-
I also must be
Oh,
doing
that's why
something
you
else
haven't
while the
seen
song
that
was
part.
playing. Please describe
Oh
for
my
our
God.
listeners and
They
viewers.
shared pan.
Basically.
Wow.
Yeah, so basically they both are ऐसे sleeping side by side, सामने सो रहे हैं and So she eats a pan और उसका चबा के जो morsel बनता है, she passes it to him and he directly.
That's not even, yeah.
From Rukhi Sokhi Roti
Roti
to
to
Gila
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 Pan. She. Wow.
And the funny thing is that, so Anil Kapoor in all his speeches, he talks about the disabled community and ki how if they should get an access and everything. And in this song there is a line, Rog lage ke humko.
You've definitely watched it very closely.
Yeah.
So, surprisingly, this film was not available anywhere to stream in India when I got down to watching it.
Because I
And-
don't think any person in their right mind would search for this movie and stream it on any of the apps.
That's a good point. But so I put out a tweet saying, "Does anybody have a link where I can watch the film because I need it for work?" And somebody replied back to it saying, "Just tune into Z Cinema and the film will
Yeah.
start
Yeah.
playing automatically." So I have to say I was a little ignorant about this. I did not know this was a Shankar film.
Oh, wow.
Shankar, one of the biggest Tamil filmmakers. This was his first Hindi film. It's a remake of his own film called Mudalvan, which was also based on the same premise. That film, by the way, 2 hours 20 minutes running time.
Wow.
So there's an additional 40 minutes that have been shoved into Nayak for some reason.
Did they have the same songs as this one in Tamil, of course?
They did, yeah, along with 2 additional songs.
So what was the other...
I have no idea. I haven't seen the.
I think Amrish Puri's expressions. Yeah, like every time Anil Kapoor would say anything, if it was any other actor, थोड़ा सा ही गुस्से से अमरीश पुरी का
Fuming.
range of emotions पूरा दिखा रहा है. I feel it's just that added like 10 minutes of screen time.
That's
to the
possible.
movie.
And the Johnny Lever character may be doing a lot
Oh,
more.
we'll come to
Yeah.
that. I still can't wrap my head around what was the purpose of that character, but we'll come to that. But if you go through Shankar's filmography, right, the films he's done, Indian, Mudalvan, Nayak, Shivaji, The Boss, which is one of Urjita's favorite films, Robot, Endiran 2.0. Essentially, the one-line synopsis of almost all
One
his
man
films.
against the system.
One man against the system. In case of Robot, it's a machine against the system,
Yes.
right? So it very beautifully fits into that, and I think that is the part of the film that I think has aged well, in the sense
Yes.
that this movie is really playing out the fantasy of every common Indian,
Right.
of what if things happened well, what if things were done on time, done efficiently, without anybody having ulterior motives. What if there was an honest to God person who wanted to make a change and took that initiative and did it, right? That 22 years later still holds up.
Yeah.
It was relevant in 2001, it's relevant today. The part of it that I have a problem with is, and this is where I would like to know your opinions, is that the second half of the film almost contradicts the first half, in the sense the first half, this man takes the initiative to accept the challenge that if I'm given chief ministership, I'll do it. And then the second half of it is like, there is that whole sequence where, people start treating him as a god, right? So the film is saying that you as a common man have the initiative to make a change. But then why is the film then referring that कि अगर किसी ने काम किया है तो उसको भगवान की तरह treat करो. At one level, the film wants to say question the authority, but at the same time, it's also saying if someone does work for you, oh my God, they are as good as God, which means you can't question them. So that's the sort of question I had in my mind. What do you guys have to say about
But
that?
this is also the Indian mentality, no?
Not just the
हमारे-
Indian mentality,
So
I would
is
say
the- yeah.
it's
हमारे यहाँ
universal
पे भी-
human. Yeah, go ahead.
Also, like on a micro level, just think about it from your family's perspective. हमारे हर किसी की फैमिली में एक कोई ना कोई रहता है who's helping everybody. Can you question that person? No, you can't, because in Marathi there is a saying called हाथ सा रखना, which basically means उसने तुम्हारे सर पे हाथ रखा है तो तुम उसके हाथ को कुछ कर नहीं सकते. Basically it's that. So इधर भी अगर हमारे फैमिली में भी अगर कोई बहुत मदद कर रहा है किसी की, we also don't question that person simply because उसके बोझ के दबाव तले हम बैठे हैं. So I think it's the same thing. I think it also it is applicable on a macro level, where if somebody is doing something good, bare minimum भी अगर कोई रास्ते भी अच्छे दे रहा है, और कितने politicians का I have seen in Mumbai in Thane also, कोई politician रास्ता कोई अच्छा बना ले तो भी भाई ये तो भगवान है, इनको तो भाई हमारे सीने के ऊपर से इनको गोली मारनी पड़ेगी. I don't know, stuff like that. So I think in India it is going to be very difficult to have that kind of relationship with a politician, because अभी भी हमारा mindset राजा महाराजा के ज़मानों का ही.
But isn't the first half of the film exactly asking you to question that?
So I don't think the first half of the film is asking you to question
Yeah.
authority. It is asking you to question inefficiency.
Yeah.
So yes, there is an elected leader who is not good at their jobs. So then the leader says, why don't you take my job? You take that job, you do it well. So at no point are you questioning their authority. You're questioning their intent, their effectiveness of or efficiency of being in that place, and their own heart, whether it's in the right place or not. Is it for the people or is it for the power? Right? Even when he becomes the chief minister, nowhere has it been shown that his heart lies in the power.
Correct.
His heart lies in serving the
Right.
the needy, the
Yeah,
population,
yeah,
or whatever,
yeah.
the mandate that he's been given at that point. So maybe if your heart is in the right place and you're doing a good job, and the intent for which you have been elected is what you're doing, then there is no questioning authority.
Okay.
But if you're failing in those duties, then I'm sure that they would question him as well.
Okay, got it. Because we're skipping a little ahead. We'll go sequence by sequence. But okay, let's go sequence by sequence. So when the film starts, surprisingly, I did not know this. Dialogues done by Anurag Kashyap.
Yes,
Yeah.
that was something
Yes.
that I was about to say. So one of the things that have aged well
Yeah.
are some of the dialogues that have done, a lot of the Paresh Rawal dialogues still hold. A lot of the Anil Kapoor dialogues still hold. And no one's spoken about the performances yet, barring Johnny Lever and a couple of others. Most of the performances have been very good. One of the better performances of Anil Kapoor. Now you can question the writing, you can question the execution and all of that and stuff. But with what he was given, it was pretty cool. And I also read that this film was first offered to Amir Khan,
yeah.
who declined.
Yeah.
Shah Rukh Khan declined because he had already done
Played a TV journalist
Fir Bhi
in Fir Bhi
Dil Hai
Hindustani.
Hindustani.
Yeah,
So he said, I don't want to play a TV journalist again. Though it'll be interesting to see how Shah Rukh
Right.
would have done in Nayak.
Right.
And
I
Anil
think he would
Kapoor
have
came.
killed it.
Yeah.
We're recording this on the day the Jawan trailer has come
Shah
out.
Rukh,
so
Amir, I think both of them could have done well.
I have a feeling that Amir would have been a little more preachy.
हाँ
Sure.
वो innocence नहीं रहता
वो
उसमें
innocence
maybe.
नहीं रहता, वो
Yeah.
common man वाला, वो star power आ जाता.
True.
And Shah Rukh would have been a little more funny you would have...
Possible.
That seriousness that may have been required as a journalist.
Yeah.
Shah Rukh, because of his natural charm, humor and all of that,
Yeah.
may not have suited it. And honestly, you usually ask questions, right? Let me ask you one question.
How does it feel, Urjita?
Yes. Tell
दोस्ती
me...
बनी रहे. Okay, we can take ये तो चलेगा ना, नहीं
हाँ,
चलेगा
ठीक
क्या?
है.
ठीक है, okay, cool.
You tell me another movie which was first offered to Shah Rukh, or tell me two movies which were first offered to Shah Rukh and then went to other actors. One of them went to Anil Kapoor and they did extremely well.
Anil Kapoor only or some other actor.
They
One
did
of them is Anil
extremely
Kapoor
well.
and the other one was some other actor. Roles that were offered.
The
to Shah.
Anil Kapoor film, was that a solo hero film?
No.
Oh, okay. Was offered to Shah Rukh but went to Anil
I'm
Kapoor.
thinking
Did
of
exceptionally-
iconic Anil Kapoor movies.
Was it Tal?
No.
Okay.
That role, by the way, was offered to Govinda.
Govinda, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Can I have the era? 90s, early 2000s?
So now we're going the
Is
Antariksh
it an
way, is it?
iconic Anil Kapoor movie?
It is an iconic movie, not necessarily an iconic Anil Kapoor movie.
Okay.
Virasat?
No.
Om Jai Jagdish?
No.
Om Jai Jagdish was a bomb.
Okay, think international.
Slumdog Millionaire.
Yes. The role of Anil Kapoor was offered to Shah Rukh because that was the time when Shah Rukh was hosting KBC.
That's true, yes.
And Shah Rukh chose not to do that mainly because there were elements of grey in that character, negative. So he didn't want his real life host persona as
Correct.
KBC to reflect on that.
Oh.
Otherwise,
enough.
people would think that he's
Yeah.
dissuading people. The other movie was Munna Bhai, which was of course offered first to Shah Rukh,
Right.
and then
Yes.
Sanjay Dutt made
Nice.
Correct.
what he did of
Yeah,
that
yeah.
character.
Oh wow.
Uh,
Nice. Actually, I remember Shah Rukh Khan ko Munna Bhai MBBS ke liye he actually had given a lot of suggestions, and those suggestions they were also
Did,
incorporated. And but yeah.
If only he would have done it as well.
I know it would have been. I think it would have been
I
a fun
think
movie.
it would have been, but I
But
think
then it would. I feel like then it would have been just one of the many Shah Rukh Khan iconic movies. Like today we remember Munna Bhai MBBS as
Yeah.
a
Character, yeah.
iconic character movie.
I
So
think
ye-
Sanjay and Sunil Dutt got to share that on-screen moment before he passed away. So I think it
Yeah.
all worked out. But Mangalam, I want to turn to you because you work in a newsroom.
Yes.
And the newsroom is a very essential part of the early scenes of this film.
Yes.
So during the opening credits, what we see is essentially they are satirizing and parodying what news was at that point of time. And with all due respect to the media fraternity, I think since then the news in our country has become a little more of a how should I put this?
General news.
Laughing
Yes, you
stock.
can say. Yeah, go ahead.
But yeah, you work in the business
The
sphere,
respectable one.
the
Yeah.
respectable business sphere, where you're concerned with figures and graphs and numbers. So not that there haven't been funny instances.
A
there
bunch of them.
either,
Yeah.
But I was actually quite impressed by the way the satirizing of the news was done here. There's
Yes.
the satirized game, the KBC,
Yeah.
Kaun Banega Bore Pati. I
कौन
think.
बनेगा
Yeah,
बोल
yeah,
पर-
yeah, that was pretty
And
cool.
over there also, उन्होंने क्या हर एक point को पकड़ा है. Amitabh Bachchan is known for his height. They have actually
Used
picked
Use
a
the
yeah.
tall person.
relatively
Yeah.
Little people.
vertically challenged guy. I don't know what's the politically correct
Yeah.
term for that, but they have put it like properly. उसने वही एक आदमी को
Tell me
रखा हुआ
something
है.
though, the QTV channel that they're working
Yeah.
for, is it a general entertainment channel or is it a news channel?
It seems like a news channel.
Right.
And the studio would have been a network, which is why you have shots of Ramayan being shot there and stuff as well.
Yeah.
While they satirize that, you know, what was really cool, and this is straight from the newsroom experience that I have, the conversations behind the cameras, where the production crew is talking to
Yeah.
each other and all,
Yeah.
that was pretty apt. You know, pretty
Okay.
spot on. So one of those guys says, "अरे ये क्या कर रहा है यार? इसको कैमरा इधर करना है, ये
Yeah,
आदमी यहाँ पे
yeah.
आ गया है, या अरे वो हनुमान जी गिर गए," or something of that sort and all. All that really happens in a newsroom. Because, yeah, while you are managing things, there are people behind who are trying to make things look good, and they are always perpetually frustrated because there are too many things happening, right? So the only way to let out steam is to say things as is, and that's the one thing that they captured really well.
Yeah.
अरे यार ये आदमी चप्पल लेके आ गया स्टूडियो में, you know. That was fun.
चप्पल
Yes.
भी दिख रहा है, चप्पल के ऊपर का गोबर भी
Yeah,
दिख रहा है.
Another thing I think this film does well is, and again, this is something that is way more relevant now, is it shows how misinformation can spread and create disturbance in a riot-like situation, right? There is that one scene, something simple as students versus a bus driver fight, just elevates into this citywide riot, and then we see this thing where Shivaji Rao, who's Anil Kapoor, the main character, he saves.
About the name, right? Shivaji
Yeah,
Rao.
please tell us.
So Shankar
Yeah.
had thought of Rajnikant when he made this movie as his dream cast.
Right.
And that's why the character's name is Shivaji Rao Gaikwad, which is Rajnikant's original name.
Right.
Yeah, the full
So,
name that too,
Shivaji Rao
Rao
Gaikwad.
Gaikwad. Wow.
Another thing I thought was also the name Shivaji and Rao. It's like a combination of Shivaji and Bhim Rao, which are like the two most revered figures in Maharashtra.
I don't think they thought as much.
Oh really? Okay.
Yeah, I'll tell
That's
you
just
why.
me projecting.
Because that's just you projecting your thought process there. I have an exact counter to that.
Okay.
Because the chief minister, his character is Balraj Chauhan.
Right.
You're in Maharashtra.
Yeah.
I don't remember any non-Maharashtrian chief minister
Right.
in Maharashtra
Right.
for the time, since the time I've understood politics or started following politics or anything of that sort.
Ashok Chavan is the closest that comes.
Chauhan is Marathi.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Chauhan
saying.
is-
At least you should have
Yeah.
made it Chavan. But I guess,
Chauhan also, I mean,
Oh,
the
really?
same spelling, but not Singh. Balraj
No,
Singh, right?
he was Balraj Chauhan. Chauhan is a very
Chauhan.
North Indian
North
name.
Indian
And
name.
nowhere
Right,
in the
right.
movie has, Amrish Puri
उसके-
acted or even tried to act
To
like a
do a
Maharashtrian.
accent, yeah,
उसके
that's true.
Maharashtrian roots नहीं दिख रहे movie
ये
में.
कहीं
Correct,
से नहीं
that's
है.
correct, yeah. That's a good point.
do you think it was a commentary on sometimes people who make it all the way to the top aren't even like from the soil?
I don't think so.
But I'll tell you what's a good
Yeah.
commentary. So in that एक तो first 15 minutes मैंने जिंदगी में पहली बार अभी देखा नायक का. Just because the cinema पे
Yeah.
for some reason बीच में से ही चालू होता है
Yeah.
movie. So in the first 15 minutes he is felicitating a Baba Saheb Ambedkar statue, and literally 2 minutes after that he gets mad at somebody who's trying to touch him.
Yes.
Yeah,
So I
yeah,
feel
yeah.
that was very iconic, and also the way he like first
Breaks-
of all
that was-
हाँ yeah, he's like कि तुम अरे नहीं कोई बात नहीं उससे जाने दो, and then he's like अरे सुनो इधर आओ, and then he breaks his arm.
Yeah.
So that was, I feel, a really good introduction for a
Character
for
like
a villain.
that.
Like from the first frame itself,
But what did you guys think of Amrish Puri in this? Like, he's done some really iconic villains. So, as compared to those, I felt like this was like a walk in the park for Amrish Puri. He's like villainous politician.
You know, this was a walk in the park from a performance standpoint
Right.
for him. But his presence is such that even his walk in the park is better than anyone else's
Correct.
hard-fought
Yeah.
role or performance. Can I imagine anyone apart from Amrish Puri doing it now that I've seen Amrish Puri doing it? I don't think so.
Pankaj Tripathi?
He would be too,
I can't think of Pankaj
he would-
Tripathi as an out and out villain. Yeah, like I
Yeah.
somehow feel
That's
a
great.
little
But
Huh.
this is like a subtle villain, no?
in Nayak.
I mean,
Nike is
kind of.
black and white. He's
Yeah,
as
it's
black
pretty
as,
as
it
black
gets.
as you
Yeah.
can
Okay.
get.
मतलब he's not like कि मैं तुम्हें मार दूंगा ऐसा
Maybe
कुछ
if
नहीं
they
कर रहा है.
remade Nayak and tried to give a little bit of a complex character to the villain and they cast Pankaj
Pankaj
Tripathi,
Tripathi,
then
yeah.
maybe.
Yeah.
But
I don't
Maybe
know.
different.
I wanted your thoughts on
Yeah.
this. Can Nayak be made in the current environment that we're in the sense there's social media? So you spoke about things being blown out of proportion at that time. Then there are so many layers or so many different tracks going on in this entire movie.
Yeah.
Do you think it'll hold people's attention now? And now if you're talking about other actors coming in, say Pankaj Tripathi or anyone, then each character will have their own different arcs. How do you make a movie like this now?
I don't think arcs and the story would be a problem. The problem would be just saying the truth. Because if we see honestly, if you really have to set Nayak, Abhi ka Nayak according to the backdrop of the current political environment, then I think नहीं हो पाएगा. Because एक तो पास ही नहीं होगा सेंसर से. Because you will have to use so many references from the current
I don't
political
think this movie
scenario.
used any references.
Yeah, I was
throughout,
coming to that. I
which is
think
pretty apolitical.
even Nayak as it stands plays pretty safe because they never name any community or any party or any politician. So even in the line where Saurabh Shukla is talking to Amrish Puri, who's the chief minister, about something and he says कि बिल्डर के पास पैसे जा रहे हैं और उसके पास माइनॉरिटी के वोट्स हैं और ये तो उन कास्ट वालों ने बनाया है जिनसे हम वोट लेते हैं. So it's all very
Yeah,
plain
layered.
speak. They're not really giving out the thing. And I remember the scene where the lawyers are checking what the law says about
Yes.
chief ministership. He cites two examples. एक बार एक बहुत influential politician की
Yes.
मौत होने की वजह से उनके बेटे को
Yeah.
prime minister चाहिए. They're talking about Indira Gandhi and Rajiv Gandhi, but they
Right.
don't name it. They don't even name the party.
Yeah.
So I think from that standpoint, they've been quite safe in this
Yes.
movie.
So you are saying Nayak could have been released as it is
As
in
is,
today's...
it'll pass the censor board, but it'll create a lot of ruckus on
Dude,
social
the
media.
interview segment itself, it won't. I mean,
Why do you say that, Urjita?
I'm just saying. Just if you try to write it in today's time, in today's day
I
and
think
age,
it would.
thoda-
I think with a few modifications, it'll still work. Because, like I said, the film plays out the ultimate fantasy of the Indian common man. That man, I wish things were done in more efficient ways, which still stands.
That is appealing to the most basic instinct of the Indian man,
Yeah.
where ये काम नहीं हो रहा है तुरंत suspend कर दो. I
Yeah.
think reality is a lot more
Yeah.
nuanced
Yeah.
than that.
So I found a interview of Manohar Parrikar, the late Goa chief minister. Apparently, Nayak was one of his favorite films.
Oh, wow.
Right.
And the interview asked him the same thing, like why don't real life chief ministers do things in such a quick-handed way? And his answer was the same. He's like, yeah, it's great for fiction to say कि अगर ये काम नहीं कर रहा है इसको suspend कर दो, but it's such a long drawn-out process to actually do it that nobody will be able to do it. Also, I think the convenient thing this film does is it makes Shivaji Rao ideology-less and party-less.
Yes.
He's a chief minister, but he does not belong to any party. Hence, he does not belong to any ideology.
Yeah.
So, any person with any political ideology watching it will project their ideology on him.
But that's what the film has done, even with its politics. When you spoke about, the truth and all of that and stuff, it's always been no ideology versus the ideology of politicians themselves,
Right.
irrespective of the party that they
Right,
belong to.
right. But point I'm saying this is because if he has to take a decision, he doesn't have to wait for a party high command
Yeah.
to give his approval. He's just he's a chief minister. He's not
Yes.
even the prime minister. Even a prime minister will have to take a party consensus to do things, to take a decision.
But you know what I think? Nayak in its own, even though like बाहर से ऐसा लगता है कि Nayak is this movie which actually motivates you to take interest in politics. No, it discourages you because what happens to Anil Kapoor when he actually tries to do good?
Yeah.
He
I
loses
actually-
his parents. How is that a good encouragement?
So does this film is this film actually making the point that at the end of the day, no matter how hard you
Yeah.
try, you're gonna end becoming a cog in the wheel?
I don't know about that yet.
Yeah.
I'll tell you why.
Because he has that one line in the end. He says to
आखिर
Paresh
तुम
Rawal,
सबने मिलके
मुझे
मुझे
नेता बना ही
नेता
दिया.
Neta bana
right?
diya. That is the line of the
Right.
film, in the sense that the point of the film. But then again, there is so much nuance in this, and that is what questions me whether the movie is aged well, or my own decision of, discussing this movie.
That ship has sailed. Now we
Yes.
are discussing it.
Because, on the one hand, you are questioning the authority of leaders who have been elected democratically. But in their own process, Anil Kapoor is anything but democratic.
Exactly, yes.
So he is a one-man party. He makes decisions on the spot. There is no consulting
Yeah.
which needs to be done. And he thinks what his idea of right is the actual right thing. So how are you then projecting power of democracy and doing it in a dictatorial way? So I'm
Right.
just trying to figure that.
That's a
True.
really nice point.
Yeah, yeah.
मतलब वो भी राजा ही तो बन रहा है.
Exactly.
हाँ.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Silence. उर्जिता आपका क्या कहना है इस बारे में? Which brings me to another part which you also mentioned. It's a very memed film.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the more fun thing that we can talk about now.
Because especially I think every frame of the interview has been memed to the nth degree. There are other parts of the film also which
Yes.
we see on meme pages regularly. Is it primarily because, like you said, the film was always on TV every time, and we know the film frame by frame, that it's such a memeable film?
Yes, I think it's in our cultural, upbringing, so
Right.
to say.
Yeah.
And all those frames, the references, you just get them. If I say, हाँ मेरी ज़बान बहुत लंबी है पर हाथ बहुत साफ है, everyone knows it. And
Yeah.
I'm sure there would be multiple occasions in your life where you would want to use
Yeah.
these things as a line, maybe to
Yeah.
your parents or
Yeah.
anything, or the interview, of course, everyone's talked about a lot. Us being in the profession, I have to tell you what this movie has done culturally to media is it's made a lot of journalists, a generation of journalists, believe that they are interrogators and not interviewers.
Explain the difference.
Explain the difference. Most interviews in the world are usually conversations, are supposed to be conversations. Whereas the way he approaches the interview, he's like, okay, simple question, then ta. There are all those attacks going, accusations. It's more like an interrogation. Before that, in India, we never had an interview show which was as accusatory or as harsh in nature.
Right.
Barring the odd Karan Thapar, so
Yeah,
to say.
yeah.
Thereafter, what it has done is it's given this sense of false or maybe, exaggerated pride to journalists.
Now it's just that.
Now it's just that. Everyone who wants to approach any interview, they think the idea of a successful interview is where the journalist comes across as an attacking batsman
Right.
and not as someone who's just played out the game very nicely. And oftentimes in real life, conversations which are, more relaxed leave a lot more insight than the ones which are a lot more attacking.
Right.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. I wanted to ask you. So like, it must happen that you when you're hosting a show about the markets, about business and finance, you know your stuff, right?
Yeah.
You've done your research. When you're interviewing someone and you can, let's say, for example, see through them, okay, this person is not as thorough with the subject matter as I am. How do you then do you then, is it then your job to also expose it to the audience, or just leave it be and move on?
I have to be very honest here.
Yeah.
And so in my head, I have the Nayak mode. And that's the reason why I said it. There is the Nayak mode and there is the non-Nayak mode.
Right.
I like how you were like कि दोस्तों ये है वायरस, मैं भी उसका शिकार हूँ.
So there are, there are instances, there are companies where, and for us, it's a lot easier than it
Of
is
course.
for
Yeah,
general
yeah.
news, because general news has a lot of nuance.
Yeah.
For us, it's facts and figures which are there in the public domain. So if you've read them, you can question those, because it's the company which has given those facts and figures
Yeah,
to
yeah.
the exchanges. So if you know that there is something shady which is going on, say for instance, the classic trope is companies will say that they are making X amount of profit, they're making X amount of operating profit, and eventually their cash flow statement shows no cash. So while they are making profit, they're not receiving the monies from people who owe them the money. Most of the companies exaggerate their revenues. You can easily question them on that.
Right.
And as a result of which, you go out and ask those hard questions. So that is when the Nayak mode starts.
Right.
And then there are companies which are great companies, pedigree companies, you know that this is the Simi Gariwal mode, where you get them to such a comfortable spot that they will start candidly admitting a lot more things to you because they're comfortable with you.
What mode is that?
The Simi Gariwal.
The Simi Gariwal mode.
So there is the Nayak mode and the Simi Gariwal mode.
Simi
Right.
Gariwal, but I have seen her interviews. Sometimes she would be subtle, but sometimes she would be direct. Like once she would be asking, "Acha, so what is happening with your love and marriage? Sex कैसे चल रहा है तुम लोग का?"
That I thought was a Karan Johar
That
mode.
was a coffee with Karan.
That
No,
is
no,
coffee
as in
with
I'm
Karan.
giving example. It
Acha,
could be
haan.
anything. Like she would like take.
I'm assuming Mangalam is not asking people how their love life
No,
is
no,
going.
yeah.
आपके स्टॉक्स इतने दे सेक्स कैसे चल रहा है आपका?
Stocks तो ठीक है, stockings के बारे में.
No, but like, what's the most? When was the last time you were really aggressive? Like, not very aggressive, but what's the most aggressive you?
No, there have been times. So there are a lot of companies that we've spoken to, and one of them was literally you could see that there were irregularities in their reported numbers. So we kept asking them, and the person could not answer, kept evading them. And said, no, you have to see this, you have to see that. Just the way, someone, Amrish Puri's character did that in the movie and all.
Yeah.
And we got really badly trolled by a bunch of people as well for being aggressive on that guy.
Yeah.
Cut to almost a year later, the time we interviewed that person, the stock price was 127, 128 odd rupees. Now it's around 17, 18 odd rupees. So obviously the street knows that there were irregularities.
Right.
And SEBI has, initiated a probe against them. They've barred their top management to actually take positions of power in any of the listed companies and all. So you do go hard out at people. So that was one of them that I remember.
Shauryam, Dhiryam, Karyam,
You were waiting for that. I think you asked for that. Wow.
You know
Wow,
what this
that's
film
amazing.
does, the shorthand they use is when Anil Kapoor will tell Paresh Rawal, मैं चाहता हूँ कि सारे industry heads की meeting अभी हो, and they just appear. I don't know. What if someone's coming from Malad?
and उसमें भी वो कितना funny चीजें डाली स्क्रिप्ट में. Sir, ये 1970
Yeah,
का
yeah,
बैच
yeah.
क्या है? Yes, sorry, introduction का time नहीं है. And the guy, he has his hat. Okay,
okay then.
just nothing. Man, very funny.
Okay, we have to take a break at this point. When we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about Nayak, and we'll do some categories right after this.
These photographs, they are the echoes of a nation's journey through time. Did you know that our national anthem is based on a Bangla poem called Bharat Bhagya Vidata? Ah, yes. This picture tells me the story of how a laboratory was set up in a cattle shed to launch India's first rocket. These photographs tell us the stories of India. Some tales are well known, while others lie buried in the sands of time. I'm Kunal Vijayka. Join me as I tell you 100 stories that made India, India. A century of stories presented by IDFC First Bank. Weekly episodes starting from the 14th of August. Subscribe to this channel.
And we're back on Has It Aged Well with Urjita and our guest Mangalam. Do you guys remember Rani Mukherjee is also in the movie? I had completely forgotten.
You remember that?
Of course I do.
Yeah, that's her throughout the movie. But Urjita, you were saying you actually liked Rani's role in the
As
film?
in, of course, it's not meaty. I
Yeah.
know that. But I love the way it starts. Like, usually, like in movies, you see that a hero falls for a girl just because she exists and
Yeah.
she looks conventionally pretty. But in this case, this guy, Anil Kapoor, you can see why he fell in love with her. I mean, I know that's like...
Why?
because वो Amrish Puri...
She stood up to power.
She stood
right,
up.
okay.
Yeah. She says, no, कि नहीं साहब ये झूठ बोल रहे हैं, कोई electricity नहीं आई, कुछ नहीं आई. And he's like, कि वाह सच बोला. That's what...
And then he goes on to stalk her with his video camera and
Yeah,
project
that
it
was-
over.
that has
the-
not
That-
aged well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This dichotomy again, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Where here she stood up to power,
Yeah.
but on the other hand, she hasn't. When her father says, "नहीं, government वाले ही नौकरी से शादी
Yeah, what
करना
was
है."
the obsession with that? I don't get it. Like,
वो अभी के fathers में भी होता
That's
है.
just,
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I guess that is the stability that a
Stability,
father
हाँ, sure.
looks
In
for a
arranged
child.
marriage, that is what. See, if it's a love marriage, then your father is like, "जा कर ले किसी से भी."
हाँ.
See, if
I
it's
wish,
a love marriage, then
But
your
this
father
was a
is
love
like,
marriage, right?
this was a love marriage, but अगर ये गाँव से है. So government job का stability रहता है, dude. I kid you not. So हमारा जो है वाणी समाज है, उसका एक मैनुअल आता है जिसमें
Okay.
अरेंज मैरिज का मैनुअल है जिसमें
nice.
जिसमें यू कैन एक्चुअली लाइक सबमिट योर प्रोफाइल. दिस इज वे बिफोर द एरा ऑफ जीवन साथी
Sure, yeah.
और अभी भी आता है ये. उसमें तुम सबमिट कर सकते हो अपना प्रोफाइल. उसमें विद सैलरी तुमको अपने सब डिटेल्स देने पड़ते हैं.
Wow.
एंड उसमें भी इफ यू गवर्नमेंट जॉब वालों का अलग से सेक्शन होता है. And if there are like, so suppose if you have like a lot of money or something, even though your salary is less,
Yeah.
तो वो भी इधर इधर जमीन है. तो बोल्ड में तो I'm
वो एक
telling
कॉपी
you.
मिलेगी इनकम टैक्स ऑफिसर की. वो कहीं से भी लेके आइए, आई डोंट माइंड. 1 घंटे के अंदर इस टेबल पर होनी चाहिए.
अगर नहीं मिली तो क्या तुम सस्पेंड कर दोगे मुझे?
आपकी सस्पेंशन लेटर पे मैं साइन करूंगा.
What's
but
the
yeah,
mode of
government job.
distribution for these pamphlets?
ये बेसिकली सिर्फ पैम्फलेट्स नहीं, मैगजीन्स.
Magazines, oh my God,
वो
okay.
रहती है, वो हम सब के
Okay.
पास, वाणी लोग के पास रहती है वो.
Hmm.
So
Uh,
but no, this is a thing. Government job. Have you guys
No,
not
we know.
heard
I mean,
of
we don't
I
know
don't
that.
know. Maybe, yeah.
because stability, no. So
Stability is what they look for, but
in my opinion, like if a girl's dad is looking for a guy with a government job and if he finds someone कि जिसका government job है, तो then basically he's trying to say कि पता है गवर्नमेंट जॉब में तो कितना भी खराब काम करेगा तेरा जॉब रहेगा.
That is true.
But actually, that brings me to the Paresh Rawal character.
Yes.
Like, he's the guy who sees through the bullshit, right?
Yeah.
With the Amrish Puri
Yeah.
character. He's supposed to be an IS officer.
he would be the secretary of
The G
chief
Mantri G,
minister.
the show G Mantri, yes minister.
Yes.
The what do you call them? The PAs.
Yeah, they I think they do belong to the IAS
Yeah.
cadre as well.
I mean, they don't change even if the minister changes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
that is where my personal opinion, the Nayak of the film is actually Paresh Rawal.
Okay.
Because he's been given the most powerful dialogues. You think of some of the most powerful dialogues of the movie,
Right.
and you'll immediately go back to Paresh Rawal.
Right.
He's the
इसने
one
तो
who's
पहले ही बॉल पे छक्का मार दिया.
ओह ये तो धोती खोल रहा है.
आज ये सेंचुरी मारेगा.
Yeah.
और अगर महात्मा गांधी भी बीवी बच्चा करते तो
तो आज तुम
whatever.
किसी
Yeah.
अंग्रेज
हाँ.
का टॉयलेट साफ कर
So
दो.
all these lines belong to Paresh Rawal. His is the character which stays relevant even today, where they make sense. तुम्हारे जैसे लोग इस दुनिया पे श्राप है and all of that and stuff. And his performance has actually been one of the better ones in the entire movie.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
I think that's the real Nayak for me.
Yeah, and also like Anil Kapoor has this guiding force with him
Yes.
throughout. Like, imagine if you had somebody like that to navigate life, because we need a bouncing board. So many times we take a decision, we do it, and we realize ये नहीं करना चाहिए था.
Yeah.
Instead, if you had somebody telling you ये मत कर, so then because Paresh Rawal, he knows the scene way better than Anil
Right.
Kapoor.
Right. Yeah.
So I feel like that's a good point.
Okay. I want to talk about Anil's parents, Shivaji Rao's parents. His father is a cartoonist
Yes.
who has a vision that his son will be a politician, and the only other person he says he had this vision about was Lal Bahadur Shastri. Isn't that a dialogue in the film?
मतलब उसके बीच में किसी को गेस नहीं कर पाया.
So he literally draws him sitting on a chair, right?
Yes.
On a throne.
But also
But
that is a good choice of a father's profession, because you can see कि बचपन से इस पे politics का
Right.
था. Also he knows how to. अगर उसका बाप कार्टूनिस्ट है और उसने बनाए ये सारे memes politicians पे, so then इसको पता है कि
Memes ने
अच्छा
उसको cartoons बोलते हैं.
cartoons, हाँ,
उर्जिता.
मतलब sorry.
वो real life
This
में
Sorry.
generation, I tell you.
मेरा Gen Z थोड़ा बाहर निकल गया. Sorry.
when I watched it as a child, what fascinated me most was the cartoon that he made at the start of the girl of his dreams.
Yeah.
Where he says "Tote jaisi naak ho," and then suddenly he makes that.
Right.
I just found it very fascinating. I don't know why. And now that I think about it, I'm like, hey, no, that didn't age well at all. But it's still fascinating.
But also at the same time, don't you feel like that? I know maybe I'm reading too much into it, but don't you feel that was like supposed to be a parody for all the Hindi songs? क्योंकि उसमें भी heroines को ऐसे ही describe करते कि ओ आँखों कमल जैसी, चांद सितारे फूल और खुशबू ये तो सारे पुराने हैं, ताज़ा ताज़ा कली की लिए. So I feel like basically they are trying to. It's supposed to be like a commentary on all those songs where they describe like a female using different
But then
objects.
they do give those qualities to Rani Mukherjee, right?
तो
also.
नहीं है फिर comment.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
at the same time, for someone who's
Lyricist
as
कोई और है शायद.
Oh, by the way, which reminds me, this is the only collaboration between, or the last collaboration between A.R. Rahman and Anand Bakshi. Anand
Yes.
Bakshi
Oh,
passed
yeah.
away a little while after this movie. So I thought the 3-hour runtime, especially the last hour.
Yes.
I think they said everything they wanted to say in the first 2 hours after he becomes the CM. And
I think the one-day chief minister, ended there.
Ended there. I'm even okay with him going back the same night and beating up the goons with the keychain
Yes.
and everything, the iconic thing that whole
And the
thing
doodh
happened.
ka abhishek and finish it.
Dude, exactly. I was like, हाँ यहाँ पे उन्होंने
Perfect,
सब
yeah.
कुछ.
What a
Then it
great
just
end.
becomes a gangster movie where they are hiring someone to kill the guy, and then he somehow wins the election again without having a party or anything of that sort, and he's the CM again. So yeah, the last hour was really not required. And then why kill his parents just for the heck of it?
वो लास्ट टाइम आई
drama.
थिंक वो दिखाया था जस्ट टू शो कि इतना भी पॉसिबल नहीं है दोस्तों. Maybe that's why that's what they
Maybe.
wanted to show. Or maybe
One-
somebody said कि क्यों नो कि अरे ये मूवी बहुत पॉलिटिकल हो रहा है, थोड़ा इसमें एक्शन ड्रामा भी होना चाहिए, थोड़ा लव स्टोरी भी होना चाहिए.
That's what I'm trying to figure. That what was it on their minds when they were making so many
No,
tracks?
so the part where the establishment takes revenge on him, and they literally have a bulldozer come and
Yeah.
tear his house down. Something we still see. So again, it's not new. It's been happening. Any power has taken advantage of that. I think that again made sense. That this person's this. Like, what do you do when an entire system comes after you? Right now,
Yeah.
you have a target on your back. Had they had they concentrated on how that affects Shivaji Rao, I would still be interested in that. But then, like I said, it takes the easy way out where it's become this pulpy action thriller where it's like, okay, now he's the hero and he has to take revenge from the villain. So let's kill his parents.
Now that I think about it, the best way to remake this movie is instead of making him the chief minister for one day, make him the chief minister for 7 days. And in that itself, you show whatever you have to.
Netflix, if you're watching this,
Netflix नहीं तो movie में बन जाएगा. Netflix will have to make a series and then in that you can keep
one
a-
episode per day.
Six
7
7
episodes.
दिन CM in.
There you go. Yeah, you have that. If you want to hire writers,
But why 7 days?
So that, everything that they have to show. The one day, they
Right,
were
okay,
limited
got
by
it.
that. So the establishment fighting back. So say, for instance, the first day he does all that he has to, the Abhishek happens. The second day, the bulldozer comes in. The third day, parents die. He still has to fight the system, and emerge victorious at the end of the 7th day, which, perhaps ends in all these guys eventually going to the jail. And that's pretty much about it. Why do you have to show what happens thereafter?
So there was a Nayak 2 announced apparently, which never
20
took off. 2013 or 2014.
Okay.
It was going to be made by Shankar. Anil Kapoor was slated to star again, but it just never went anywhere. So I don't know.
Was it about a CM becoming a common man for
I don't
one
know. That's
day?
what.
I thought there was Nayak 2, which happened in Delhi, right? We had the chief minister from...
Yeah. It was a very long, drawn-out sequence of events where from two people it came down to one person who swore he will never join politics, but then he did.
Muffler,
or-
झाड़ू, system change.
और आखिर में तुमने भी उसे politician बना ही दिया.
Exactly. So that's another point. Yeah, I wanted to discuss that. I think another thing that has kept Nayak so relevant is we saw something very similar play
Yes.
out in real life, where a common man, literally his party was called the Aam
Yes.
Aadmi Party, started a movement, a people's movement, swore never to join politics, but then had to if he had to really make a change. And he's now a 2-term chief minister of the capital of the country. And I don't think that will ever leave Arvind Kejriwal, because in a very recent video that Kunal Kamra put out, where he says कि कोई ये कर रहा है, कोई वो कर रहा है, उन सब के बीच में अरविंद केजरीवाल हर दिन नायक देख के पहुंच जाता है. Did you, when the movement was happening again, because you work in the news?
No, that time I was a student. यार इतना भी बड़ा नहीं हो मतलब.
Yeah, I almost forgot. Yeah, you're younger than me. But as a student, were you like, अरे ये तो एकदम नायक जैसा हो रहा है यार?
Yeah, I remember AIB doing a sketch.
Yeah.
AIB did a sketch with him, and they called it was Nayak related, the common man, and they used that. Forget AIB. They themselves interspersed
Yeah.
Nayak footage with their own political party videos. You can probably look at it online. I don't think they had any rights issues and all of that at that
course,
point in
yeah,
time.
yeah.
They interspersed all of that, and then that whole Anil Kapoor scene and the background music that you just
Yeah.
sang, and Arvind Kejriwal's video of him walking to that and all of that. They've used that.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah.
I mean, I wasn't the only one. They saw it
Of
and
course,
they used
of
it
course,
as
yeah.
well.
I mean, the memes I remember that,
After watching that, Shankar be like, Nayak movie be like, कि तुम सब ने मिलके मुझे भी propaganda film बना ही दिया.
Yeah, I guess. But I'm still wondering who the Johnny Lever in all of that is.
well, let's get to Johnny Lever. So
Yes.
They wanted it to be a rip tickling comedy.
Literally.
yeah. his only job in the film is to say this very derogatory word that is
Yes.
used for trans people.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, it's not even a word play. He's literally just saying the word again and
Yeah.
again.
It's not even funny
It's
after
not even
the
funny.
first.
Yeah. 2 times.
Yes, I don't know. I mean, the only reason why I laughed at that was, I mean, not at the line,
Yeah.
but because it was Johnny Lever, out of
Right.
respect, you have to
Yeah.
just give him
Yeah.
a couple of laughs.
Yeah.
But I didn't find anything about that.
Yeah, it's not aged well. That's the
Yeah.
worst thing. That's the thing that is aged worst about the film. Urjita, you have to say anything about that?
I mean, that's not the kind of representation they want.
Exactly.
I'm sure.
There's also this other scene where there is a group of transgenders.
Yes, and they do
they're
that.
saying कि हाँ, बाकी के सारे नेता तो हमारी तरह हैं, which is again like
Yeah.
a
Which is a
derogatory thing to say.
Yes.
So yeah, that part of the film definitely not aged well. Anything else you guys want to add, guys, about Nayak? Something, yeah.
We spoke about Rani Mukherjee,
Yeah.
right, already.
Pooja Batra is also in
Pooja
the film.
Batra.
So is
Fun
Sushmita
character.
Sen.
Yeah.
Who comes for one
You want to
song.
talk about Shakalaka Baby?
Shakalaka Baby. First of all, Shakalaka doesn't mean anything, right?
Yeah.
As far as I know, in Hindi or English, no.
वो उसका क्या था मतलब why was that item song in that movie? I feel like पुराने directors randomly item songs अपने Saturday Sunday को shoot करके रखते थे
Yeah.
जो movie मिले
Yeah,
उसमें
लगा
डाल
दिया,
देंगे.
yeah.
And
Did you know that song actually made the movie go over budget? Because they had
What?
to shoot the song at different locations in stylistic ways with a lot of dancers.
so it was not the CGI filled song.
No, it wasn't. They didn't
was
have any
this
budget.
song.
Yeah, by the way, this is the scene that we haven't spoken about yet.
The CGI.
Not the CGI song, not the Saiya song. I'm talking about the fight, the whole the Multani
The
Mitti
Kichad
fight
fight,
that he
yeah,
has.
yeah.
Oh, I have a lot of trivia for that. The
Yeah.
first one, I was very fascinated by
Sure.
that. The first one, this Anil Kapoor was asked. It wasn't supposed to be a Kichad scene. It was him in water, comes out, fights and all of that and stuff.
yeah.
He said, "I won't shave my body hair." So they said, "Okay, कीचड़ लगा देते हैं." Then he said that I won't go, topless
Yeah,
and all of that and stuff.
not
They said, "एक काम करो,
comfortable,
रात में कर देते हैं." And the third thing was that he had to train for 7-8 months and all of that and stuff. He did all of that. And you remember when he jumps up and then there is this sort of thing that the camera moves? It's actually shot with 34 cameras.
Cameras,
And
yeah.
that is what took the movie over budget.
Right.
34 cameras in a semicircle. And he jumps. What they do is take a shot from each of those cameras and juxtaposition them
Right,
on the
yeah,
edit table
yeah,
so
yeah,
that
yeah.
it looks so there's no invisible cable and all. He just jumps once and they do that. So technologically speaking, they were far ahead. Still, they did that CGI in Saiya. So that was my
Because
problem.
they were no budget. There
What are
was
you
no
saying?
budget
And
It
left.
was-
what?
Yo, I think it was beautiful.
Yeah.
Amrish Puri as a snake. Dude,
And the
they
Shivaji
got the
guy
features.
They're asking sarkari naukri.
Yeah.
No, that
Dude,
was the
they
CID guy. That was
Yeah,
basically
that was
the
the
Yeah,
CID.
शिवाजी
yeah,
साटम नो बट इवन डूड ऐसा नहीं कि स्नेक है और उसके ऊपर उसका थोपड़ा चिपका है ना 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 द स्नेक हैज द फीचर्स ऑफ अमरीश
Yeah,
पुरी
yeah.
विद द wrinkles and everything guys it
Yes.
is iconic how can you not enjoy man I feel it was great I really man imagine ये गाने में दोनों नाच रहे हैं सब कुछ CGI सब कोई जरूरत नहीं थी ये CGI में you can see that this is Shankar sir did this just for the love of cinema
Cinema, yeah,
कोई
sure.
जरूरत नहीं थी
And
गाने की
computer
Or maybe he was celebrating a festival. I'm sorry for cracking this joke in advance.
Sure.
The festival was Nag Panchami.
And we'll hold for applause.
Now you know why I do financial news and not what you guys do.
Actually, we should talk about Anil Kapoor a little bit.
Yes, please.
In 2001, I mean, if you think about it, like Amir, Shahrukh were the two obvious choices because they were at the
Yeah.
peak of their careers at this point. I remember Jackie and Anil were in this weird place in the early 2000s where kind of their star was starting to wane a little bit. Jackie, of course, sort of could not recover from that. Anil is still very much working,
Yeah.
kicking ass.
He would do
doing-
much better now.
probably, yeah.
That's what he sounds way younger now than he did back
Back then,
Like
yeah.
तभी वो
And-
लगता था दो बच्चों का अब लगता है कि भाई इसके तो 6 गर्लफ्रेंड
And now he'll most definitely do the shirtless scene and all
yeah.
that
Oh,
and
yeah.
stuff as well.
Yeah.
So I had a question to ask. So you said that he had a problem with shaving his hair, but Nangu Pungu, sorry.
Go for it. Yeah.
No, use the technical term.
Sorry. I mean, naked होके, semi-naked होके भी वो कर सकता था ना, मतलब. और Shankar had a problem with hairy chest.
I guess Shankar would have
No,
had a
Shankar
problem.
did not have a problem with that because I read the same thing that you mentioned. And when Anil was resisting a lot, Shankar said, this
I'll
scene
change
is
the-
so important
Yeah.
for me, I'll change the hero, but I won't change the scene.
Yes.
So then Anil was, okay, boss, I will do it.
So-
What was the explanation given?
I
Like, why
mean,
is
he
this
put his
scene
foot down. He was
important?
like, this is important
Shankar's
for me.
love for cinema. That's exactly why he did that, right? And the other scene that made the movie go over budget is, you remember when those goons go and attack the media channel,
Yeah,
the QTV
yeah,
office,
yeah,
and there is this scene where they break all those television sets
Right.
down. In the PCR, they literally, the production control room, they
Yeah.
literally bought 700 televisions, color
Yeah.
televisions, to fill
Make a
that
wall out of it,
PCR
yeah,
up
yeah.
and all of that. And then they were smashed, all of them, in that one shot.
Real cinema, no. That's where the CGI budget
See,
could
but
not
see,
be.
over here ना, अभी खरीदने की क्या जरूरत है? तुम अगर किसी
Exactly.
तुम अगर किसी इंजीनियर को बोलते थे बेसिक सा मॉडल बनाओ जिसपे एक ही चैनल
No,
चले.
love for cinema. Christopher Nolan, पूरा वो cornfield लगाया ना. When he puts it, we all talk about his greatness.
Yeah.
He actually did the nuclear test, yeah. You don't know this?
क्या बात
He
कर
actually blew up a town. He's like, I want
मैथ्यू
to
भी
see
गया था
it.
क्या स्पेस में?
हाँ, maybe.
उसने भी बोला था क्या उधर से ओम ओम ओम?
I think this is one of the most mid A.R. Rahman soundtracks, like apart from the Rani Mukherjee. and-
तबा तू क्या? Oh my god, it's a good song.
It's
but
not
yeah,
a
okay.
memorable A.R. Rahman soundtrack. This is the same year he does Lagan, by the way, 2001.
Yes.
So yeah, not the most.
बार बार हो जोर यारो could have been in this movie also. I mean,
What's that one?
I mean, so
song
could
with-
Amir Khan.
yeah, it's true.
Chalo Chale Mein to I think is the only memorable song in this one.
No, I remember what she sang. The da da da. da
Of course,
da.
that, of
Shauriyam,
course, yeah.
Theiryam.
The
They should have put that in the
background-
soundtrack. I don't know why
I
they
don't
didn't.
know why
put
they
it.
didn't. Yeah, that's
I mean,
true.
that is the in the imagine that track now. That would very well be the Reels anthem
Yeah.
of everything that you put boys to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Imagine.
Boys की जगह men.
Yeah, just put something. You turn around and that reel goes. Da, da,
Shauriyam,
da,
Theiryam,
da.
Kari.
If anyone's listening, please just get that audio out.
Yeah. I think I'm pretty much done with all my points. Anything else you guys want to add about Nayak from 2001?
I'm thinking.
Compared to other films we've covered from that year on this show, we did Dil Chahta Hai from 2001. We did Rehna Hai Tere Dil Mein. And we're doing Nayak from the same year, 2001.
What a year it was for the film.
What a year it was, yes.
Lagan, Dil Chahta Hai.
The other film Mangalam wanted to talk about was either Nayak or Lagan, he suggested. And I thought, yeah, Lagan, like, it's such a long movie. You have to watch the whole thing. And now that I look at it, it's only 45 minutes longer than Nayak.
Yeah, and those 45 minutes were entertaining ones with the cricket
With the
match
bat
and all
and
of
ball.
that. Yeah.
आशुतोष गोवारिकर तो ऐसे ही बदनाम है.
Cool, let's do the categories, guys.
Okay.
Mangalam, what, according to you, in Nayak has aged the best and what has aged the worst?
The idea of man against authority, like you said, and a lot of the situations in that movie have still remained as they are right now. At any given point in time, there is a political situation, the playbook that, okay,
Yeah.
this will happen, these two guys will come together, these two guys may not come together, here's a good man. So the political situation is still intact. I don't know whether that's a good thing or a bad thing.
Right. I mean,
So-
sociologically not such a good thing, but maybe cinematically a good
Yeah, so
thing.
it's got onto the basic instincts of the politics of our country, and it's that still sustains. That still
Sure.
holds for me.
Yeah. What says the worst?
Most of the Johnny Lever, definitely.
Johnny
Johnny
Lever,
Lever's is the worst.
Okay.
And also, I think Rani Mukherjee. I mean, that character, I don't know. I mean, they had to be a love interest. They could have added a little more to her.
Because they introduced that rebellious streak and then do
Yes,
nothing with
that
it.
Exactly.
did nothing with that.
Yeah.
So I think that would be.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, I think maybe like if they would have shown Rani Mukherjee as somebody who is working for the system,
Yes.
that could have made for a nice contradiction. Like this guy is trying to change everything and she's trying to tell him it's not possible. And maybe you could have shown that she's also a part of a system where she has to like maybe take a bribe or maybe just she has to do something just because somebody's life is
At stake.
at stake. So maybe ऐसा करते तो it could have made for a nice
Okay.
comparison.
Okay. Was that what's age the best for you or what's age the
No, no,
worst?
no. What's aged the worst is obviously Johnny Lever's
Yeah,
dialogues,
yeah,
and his whole character has aged the
Yeah.
worst. And the whole bus scene where he's carrying the doll, the dummy. He's carrying a guy, but it's actually a doll, and you
Oh,
can
yeah.
see.
Save
I
his
forgot
life,
about that.
and for
Yeah.
that he gets the employee of the month ka award. I'm like, that's the
Yeah.
least you
Yeah.
can
Yeah,
do.
and also his boss, by the way, you can see that वो CM से इतने difficult सवाल पूछ रहा है और वो boss खुश हो रहा है. मैं कहा तू boss
Those were different days, Urjita.
Yeah, I know.
back
उसको देख के लग रहा था कि इसको जरूर ये चैनल को opposite party ने fund किया है, because there is no way this guy would be so happy.
Notice Mangalam's absolute silence on these questions.
About the interview, I have to tell you,
Yeah.
the one thing that I was, as a person in the profession, very amused by was the lack of an earpiece. Usually the PCR is constantly speaking to
Right,
you
yeah.
when these
Yeah.
things are shot. And it's not that they didn't have earpieces out there. Everyone else was, the PCR
Yeah.
had a mic.
Yeah.
The only person they didn't speak with was the
Was
anchor.
the host, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, that was surprising.
Because imagine अगर अनिल कपूर को भी रहता वो ईयरपीस,
हाँ.
क्या सुन रहा होता वो ईयरपीस में. अनिल परेश रावल सिंह, अरे भाई ये तो धोती खोल रहा है, अरे तेरी चप्पल पे गोबर लगा. Guys, shut the fuck up, I'm trying to interview here.
Oh, by
Okay.
the, I'm sorry. Rahul Dravid has made an appearance in this film.
Yes, yes.
We never
as,
spoke about that.
Toshiba
Thompson
ad.
Yes.
Yes.
When it
Yeah.
cuts to the
Yeah, the
TV
ad.
screen, yeah.
Yeah.
But now I'm curious, what exactly goes on in the earpiece while you're? Is it ad, like it's now time for an ad break or go to the next question? Is it
Yeah,
stuff like
so
that?
it's more often than not, it's rap. Because
Okay.
every anchor anywhere in the world tends to go over on the stipulated
of
time.
course, yeah,
You
yeah.
guys you
We
record
are well aware.
podcasts, so you all know the producer will always be.
Yeah.
So instead of someone gesticulating physically, here's a person speaking in your ear, rap, you're over, rap, you're over, rap, you're over. So that is one of the things.
Okay.
But, okay, I have to tell you this story.
Yeah.
So you
Don't give me the signal to rap, Maitri. Yeah. Go
I
ahead.
apologize. So this is what happens. There was one really breaking news sort of situation
Right.
of the telecom sector. Now the problem is that telecom sector is a confusing sector. So there was some technical terminology as the flash on the ticker. Now we don't know what has happened. We need to get to the correspondent who will tell us exactly what has happened. So the news breaks and the director tells us, okay, address the flashes. We're addressing that flash. We don't know any more beyond that flash.
Right.
So the common trope is to keep
saying the
saying the flash, right? So I say, okay, there's a big breaking news in the telecom sector and it is, read the flash. The co-anchor says, yes, of course it is an extremely important one. Read the flash. And then usually in the stock market, you get a sense of whether it's good or bad basis the way the stocks react.
Right.
That day, unfortunately, so let's see, you just pull up Vodafone Idea, pull up Bharti Airtel, pull up these stocks and those stocks come up, they're absolutely flat. So you have no idea. So like, then you say, okay, maybe the street is deciphering what this means,
Right.
but this is extremely important for communications and all of that and stuff. And then read the flash.
Right.
And then suddenly the director says, we are waiting, to get to the correspondent who's broken that story. The director in your ear says, okay, we've connected with, that time was this girl called Malvika.
Okay.
So Malvika is connected on the phone line. So we are happy that, okay, now we have to just throw to Malvika and Malvika will take over. So my co-anchor says, Malvika, tell us. And suddenly there's dead silence. Tell us, Malvika. Hello? This is on live TV. You're
Okay.
on your... hello? Bolo? And we're like, what is happening? This is not Malvika. Of course, this is not Malvika.
Right.
Then the director says, "Arey, sorry, yaar, wo wrong number lag gaya tha." And the co-anchor has burst out laughing. I'm here. I can't burst out laughing because I know the next person they're going to cut to is me.
Right.
I know nothing of the news. And I'd be like, that's exactly why it's important because connections, they don't work. So
Wow.
we'll try and get
Okay.
Malvika. So that's one of the things that happen.
Can you not go to a commercial break at a time like this?
If it's breaking news, you choose not to go to
Sure,
the
of
commercial
course,
break.
yeah.
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 so-
Nice. This
Learn from Mangalam Shivajirao.
Shauryam, Dhairyam, Karyavisham.
I still haven't gotten what says the worst and what says the best.
This is a persistent interviewer here.
You could have just asked and say, sir, पर आपने मेरे
सवाल
सवाल
का
का
जवाब
जवाब
नहीं
नहीं
दिया। तुम्हें क्या लगता है बड़ा आसान है? तुम लिख के दिखाओ.
So what's age the worst is Johnny Lever's
Yeah,
whole
yeah,
character, and the whole part where Anil Kapoor is filming her, and her reaction to that is, "ए जी तुमने मेरी ऐसी तस्वीरें क्यों ली?" A guy leaks your nudes. ए जी तुमने मेरी ऐसी तस्वीरें क्यों ली?
Okay.
Me to the Oyo guy who recorded our MMS age.
It's getting personal now. Urjita. It's okay. For
But,
me,
age the what's age the best? I think Paresh Rawal's dialogues, all
Yes.
of them. You can just. I feel news channels should use those dialogues as memes.
Yeah.
Every time anybody says that, I think Paresh Rawal's character and I think the snake CGI, man.
Has aged the best.
I love it.
Are you serious?
I love it, man. It is very intricate. It is beautiful. It is art. I love the snake CGI.
Sure,
I'm
why
sorry.
not?
We know what to give you for your birthday. Yeah. Just a t-shirt with the
Sarkari naukri.
Sarkari
Sarkari Naukri and the snake CGI.
Yeah.
Mangalam, if you had to program a
But
double...
you haven't answered the
Oh,
question.
Yeah, you
for
haven't
me,
answered.
same. Is the worst is Johnny Lever and the CGI. What is the best? The background, the Sharyam.
Yeah.
Shauryam.
Shauryam, sorry, I apologize. It really pumps you up, I think,
Yeah.
totally. Can't not
I
feel
think they should have kept just that and credited Rahman, and it would have been great.
Yeah.
We didn't need Ruki Suki Roti or
That's
the Pan
true.
scene. Or
Yeah, all the other songs.
Yeah. But यार फिर क्या फायदा ना, वो डांस तो करना पड़ता है ना हीरो को.
Shakalaka baby.
That is like half his paycheck. that is like 100%
Most of Rani
Rani's
Mukherjee's,
paycheck.
yeah.
You know, they actually approached Manisha
Manisha
Koirala,
Koirala.
who was in the original film.
Oh, Manisha,
And-
she could have also done a nice.
Yeah,
She
but-
wouldn't have said, "तुमने मेरी ऐसी photo क्यों ली जी?" I mean, Rani Mukherjee added a lot more bubbly, effervescence to the.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
Manisha
that was
Koirala-
Shankar's reasoning also. He needed a bubblier actress than Manisha
Oh.
Koirala.
But Manisha,
to be-
I feel if Manisha would have said something like that, I would have been sold because she brings that innocence.
Manisha Koirala?
Yeah.
I thought she brought authority. So
Yeah, I
for
think-
your version of the story, where she would have been working in the system, Manisha Koirala would have been a great
Yeah,
cast.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mangalam, if you had to program a double feature with Nayak, which film would you program?
Wow. Maybe Robot 2, or
Oh,
as
okay.
she said, Shivaji.
Yeah, you
The
took her
boss.
choice as well.
Yeah, I mean,
Without watching the movie, Mangalam.
but I gave you the due credit, right? So it's not a copyright strike.
Yeah, before we started rolling, Urjita methodically broke down Shivaji the Boss for us, the plot of Shivaji the Boss.
Beautiful movie. Another favorite.
Imagine a mashup between Na 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 and
And
Thorium.
Shauryam, yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. But Nana
DJ Chetas, please do that.
Yeah.
You'll stick with Shivaji the Boss as a
Shivaji the
double
Boss and
feature?
Aparichit. Very
Aparichit,
similar.
okay.
And also like maybe Jawan after watching the trailer. But I haven't seen
You
the
haven't
movie.
seen the
I'm
film,
just
yeah.
I'm making a prediction. Maybe
true.
same genre.
I don't know. Maybe I would do Slumdog Millionaire, now that you say.
Because Anil Kapoor?
Anil Kapoor, ex Shah Rukh Khan, and
It's also like a sort of rags to riches
exactly,
story of
yeah,
persistence.
and better made, I guess. And A.R. Rahman music. So,
Ouch. Sorry, Shankar sir.
Sorry.
Like, yeah.
yeah.
I mean अगर वो डबल फीचर करते तो थोड़ा ऐसे डिसोरिएंटिंग नहीं लगता कि एक में अनिल कपूर अच्छे एक्सेंट में बात करा और दूसरे में कि ओ चालीस करोड़ चाय वाला तुम जो कह रहे हो वो थियोरी में ठीक है.
Can I just say though, I think Nayak gets the authenticity better than Slumdog Millionaire because I just can't get over people from slums talking in a British accent.
Yeah, but
Like,
I
it's
also, I mean, it's relative, right? Because no one says Teri kholi mein ghus rela hai.
No, but like there's a, I mean, this is a slight digression.
They say all that. I have been around such people.
There is a slight digression, but Slumdog Millionaire, the opening scene where Irfan Khan is interrogating the kid
Yeah,
in
yeah,
English.
yeah.
I'm like, I don't want to see an interrogation scene in English in a jail. Use the Hindi, use the Gali.
Maybe that hasn't aged well. Let's,
I don't know, that's a future episode of
Yeah.
Has It Aged Well?
So yeah, my double feature, I credit
Sure.
you can take your Shivaji.
Uh,
So, yeah,
My-
travel
so
to their
I would program Phir Bhi Dil Hai Hindustani with Nayak. This is my own choice. It's not like Mangalam told me off air,
Yeah.
prodded me to mention this film. But yeah, I think Phir Bhi Dil Hai Hindustani, which is a film we should actually cover on the show
Yeah.
soon enough, because a lot of people ask us to do that. Last category, favorite performance. I think we can keep Anil Kapoor aside because I think he was
Yeah,
the
the
performance.
performance.
You've said Paresh
Paresh
Rawal
Rawal,
is
yeah.
the best for you. Urjita for you?
Saurabh Shukla, Amrish Puri actually, Amrish Puri.
Okay.
Yeah,
nice.
Amrish
Yeah.
Puri. And Saurabh Shukla also.
I think Saurabh Shukla
Saurabh
would
Shukla
be my
stands out,
answer
yeah.
because he
I
has
think-
very little screen time, but,
But,
then
I
all
think-
his scenes are memes again. So I think he
Again,
made
I
some
feel
out.
like after this movie, the number one thing that people would have searched is Saurabh Shukla topless.
He's topless in the movie.
Because of that one scene though.
Leg
Oh,
kiss
yeah,
photo.
yeah,
Leg photo.
photo lega,
yes. Me buying a crop top ऐसे.
Saurabh Shukla has this very weird thing. He passes off as being that political goon.
Yes, yes. He has that.
Yeah.
At least early Saurabh Shukla. All right, cool. Let's do the rating scale. Mangalam, we have the Has It Aged Well scale from 1 to 10. 1 being it's a product of its time, has not aged well, and you would not watch it again. And 10 being you find something new every time you watch it. So on a scale of 1 to 10, how much would you rate Nayak?
I don't know whether I'll watch it again, but if it's on, I wouldn't be able to
Change it.
flip the channel.
It's a good observation.
So 50-50 would be 5.
5 on
5
10.
is what I would give.
Okay. Urjita, for you?
8 on 10.
Shaurya,
8 on 10, okay. Mine would be somewhere
Solid
between you
6.
two. Yeah, mine would be is it good enough to be a 6? Actually, the last star is the only thing that is like this thing. But yeah, I would say a 6. I think I was not bored in the 3 hours. that I
Wow, it was
watched
my idea. You guys both gave more rewatchability.
That's what happens on As It Aged Well.
आखिर तुम सब ने मिलके मुझे
मुझे
भी नायक
politician
fan
बना ही
बना ही
दिया।
दिया।
Okay, let's wrap this up with the alternate ending segment. Let's do that right now. Okay, so this is the alternate ending segment where we suggest an alternate ending or pitch a sequel to the film that we have covered. We're covering Nayak this week. So who wants to go first? Do you have an alternate ending in your mind, Urjita?
You go first, actually.
Oh, I go first. My alternate ending, like I said, it would have been. I would have actually opted for like a dark, sad ending where एक दिन के लिए chief minister बन तो गया, सब कुछ कर तो दिया, but now he has to face the wrath of the system and the party people that he took panga with for his life. So it starts with them demolishing his house and taking his parents out, and then just basically they leave him completely destitute and without any hope. That would have been my ending.
Wow.
Because that's most likely to happen in real life, guys. That's what happens when you play with fire. So sorry, but that's my dark Nayak ending.
The Dark Nayak.
Okay, Amrish Puri son. Okay,
It's
then.
almost like what's the not Khal Nayak. It's like the heroism has been sucked out from this guy. बड़ा नायक बन रहा था ना, ये देख अब ये तेरे साथ
Chal
क्या हो?
Nayak.
But yeah, do you guys have a sequel
Do you have
idea?
any?
No, I don't know. I wouldn't have an alternate ending. I may have a sequel where, say, 10 years later, Anil Kapoor, a successful chief minister, maybe would have gone to, get better, bigger political offices in the country and stuff as well. And then you have a young journalist comes, does an interview with him. And then there is that whole throwback. In a seemingly perfect tenure of leadership, he punctures holes, or she punctures holes. And that would be a lot more,
feasible, yeah.
feasible, and at the same time, it would make it a lot more relevant even now as a sequel.
Yes. Yeah.
And then you have a lady leading,
Yeah.
and then you get the whole, okay, how is the system currently designed only for a particular gender? The lady leads it, does all the good
I was
things.
thinking the journalist will be the lead.
Yeah, the lady. The journalist
okay,
is the lady.
okay.
And then she becomes the chief minister.
Okay.
She not only fixes the system that he's, worked on, but also the other part where subconsciously everything is male oriented. So she
Yeah,
brings that
correct.
female angle as well.
Right.
And
That's
that would
actually, yeah.
that could be, that would be relevant to today's
Yeah,
world because
yeah,
everything else for him has been perfect, right? It's corruption free, there's development, there's all these things have happened. So what is the other conflict that you get?
Do you have an ideal casting of who you would cast in that role?
Anil Kapoor of
The journalist.
The other journalist. Wow.
Do you have one, Urjita? Like a casting choice?
Priyanka Chopra is the first
Priyanka
person.
Chopra? Isn't she little too polished for that?
Alia Bhatt is the first
Alia Bhatt is the first choice for
obviously.
every role.
Yeah.
But
currently.
I want to thoda think more.
I was thinking Kriti Sanon or
yeah.
the Mimi.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Kriti Sanon,
yeah.
The Mimi
Kriti
chaps.
Sanon.
The Mimi chops. Sorry.
Sania Malhotra.
Yeah, could do well.
Yeah.
Sania Malhotra.
She was
Sania
good in
Malhotra.
Kathal, so yeah, I could
Yeah.
see her doing that.
Even in that movie, I keep forgetting its name. The one where she plays a widow. But yeah, she was good
yeah.
in that movie also.
Paglet.
Paglet, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Or the Shreya Dhanvantari or.
Oh yeah, actually yeah, that's not a good.
Yeah.
That's not a bad.
She's
choice.
got that
Oh,
journalist.
Yeah,
By
yeah.
the way, shout out. Harshad Mehta's case is mentioned in the interview also.
Yes.
He says Harshad Mehta ka ab
अब
tak
तक
pakda
चल
nahi
रहा
hai.
पकड़ा नहीं
And
है.
Harshad
Yes.
Mehta was alive at that time.
Yeah.
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 Urjita, do you have an alternate? But that was a great
That's
sequel
actually
idea.
a
Yeah.
great
If
idea.
they're
Again,
writing,
if someone from Shankar's team is listening to this or watching this, go ahead.
I think if they happen to listen to it in the first 15 minutes, they'll shut it because of the things that we've said about the movie before.
That's true.
Yeah.
Urjita?
I think so. I mean, I'm just thinking out loud. First thought, guys. So because he kills Amrish Puri, so Anil Kapoor he gets an idea that why suspend people when you can kill them.
Wow.
And
Wow,
now-
Punisher season
now
2.
Wow.
Basically, he's just like, I will find ways to kill anybody who is not abiding by the law. So he takes the law in his hands and he's just killing
You
everyone
thought
now.
my ending was dark, huh?
Yeah. एक तो ये हो रहा है अच्छे काम ही कर रहा है वो but again I feel वो the you know the lines are blurred
Yeah.
वो वाला scene है and he somewhere realizes that if he makes more friends and if he actually like you know builds more relation पच्चा कर रहा है so then it's like you know ये सब चीजें तुमको बांध देती है if you are in politics because it's like now anything उन लोग का नाम लेके तुमको डराया जा सकता है so he decides to not marry Rani Mukherjee just
Kills her
because
also.
of that. Sorry, no, he doesn't kill her.
Okay.
No, he doesn't kill
And
her.
then the CGI snake comes in like, Sarkari Naukri.
Sarkari naukri. No, he doesn't marry her. And now that he's parent free, orphan, Batman,
Parent-free.
Harry
What a
Potter,
beautiful way to say it.
basic Batman, Harry Potter, just whatever. So now it's like, abhi there is nothing holding me back. So it's like तुम
Ending हुए जा रही है. When
हो
is
जा
the
रही है
movie?
हाँ, मतलब alternate I know alternate ending yeah alternate ending ऐसे alternate ending नहीं है वो मार अच्छा ही है ना मतलब और उसका alternate ending क्या हो सकता है कि बुरा होता है कि नहीं मारता है अमरीश पुरी को so what
Okay.
और ये हो सकता है I mean just to you know you either die a hero or you live long enough to
become a villain.
become the villain. So
Shankar
Anil
did it
Kapoor-
before Nolan, guys.
Yeah.
Anil Kapoor himself becomes like when he says आखिर तुमने मुझे
But
politician
I
बनाई
think
दिया."
that is the actual ending, right? That's
Yeah.
what implied. That is what is implied.
You
in
just
the-
extend it a little, show him taking goose and all of that and stuff.
Yeah,
maybe
yeah,
at some point.
sure.
Yeah.
Man, what a sad end. Like we all agree that
It
no matter
could
what.
be a meta and sorry it could be
Go ahead.
it could be a meta and also where basically ये वाला जो पार्ट है ना ये हम दिखाते नहीं है ये दो जो declaration है you will show him be the good guy okay but in the process of being a good guy he has to take a bribe at different points of time
Yeah.
he has to take a bribe he has to kill someone and then in the end he can actually break the fourth wall and say तुमको क्या लग रहा है मैंने सब अच्छे काम किए मैंने भी तो बुरे काम ही किए ना एंड देन लाइक हिज लाइफ फ्रॉम द पर्सपेक्टिव ऑफ अमरीश पुरी लाइक यही काम अगर अमरीश पुरी करता as the antagonist so you would have been like hey, this is such a bad guy but just because I am doing all of this you are fine with it so that's
That
what
was
I'm
our
saying.
episode this week, guys.
Sure,
Thank
yeah,
you so
that-
much.
So basically
you
he
so
makes us question our beliefs and our choices ki don't trust blindly
When you come here next week, Urjita will still be explaining the alternate ending of Nayak, but we will see all of that very soon.
That I guess is Jawan.
oh my
We
god
shall find out.
oh my god hey actually hey internship hey.
Mangalam, thank you so much for joining us, taking your time out of the day to spend it with us.
We somehow managed to speak
We
about
somehow
a movie
managed
that
to speak about Nayak
Yeah.
for almost 90 minutes. Yeah, that's true.
wow,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
almost half the
running
runtime
time
of the movie.
Yeah.
Anything you want to plug? Where can people see you? Please go ahead and tell us.
Just switch on the TV. I know it's an old device at your house.
Yeah.
CNBC TV-18 is where you can watch a lot of our stuff.
Yeah.
But of course, alternatively, we have a lot of presence on social media, on our digital platforms and stuff as well. You can follow me on at Blitzkriegm. They'll put it.
On Instagram?
Instagram, Twitter, all the platforms. It's
Cool.
the same handle.
Nice.
Yeah.
Are you on Threads?
Yes, I am.
Do you thread a lot?
Not at all.
Neither of us do.
Do you thread a lot? Okay, Dadi Ma. I think
Urjita?
so. 90% of my dad is an ardent follower of this podcast for obvious reasons.
Really?
But yeah, no, he watches and all. तो इसलिए मुझे कभी कभी सोचना पड़ता है अरे फक बहुत बोल दिया ये वाले एपिसोड में सो ही डजंट नो 95% of the guests that come but with in your case I am pretty sure he might have seen you because he
Whoa.
follows CNBC
Pretty sure he
religiously.
might have seen you.
Pretty sure he would have seen you because my dad
Thank you, uncle.
yeah my dad wanted me to be somebody
A
like
business,
him as while growing up कि you know मुझे भी मैं भी चाहता हूँ तो CNBC
Has
पे
this aged well? I don't think so.
Business naukri. Anything you want to plug, Urjita?
You guys can subscribe to my YouTube channel @Urjitavani and my Instagram with the same ID. And thank you so much, guys. Come for my live shows. Love you.
Yes, and you can follow me on Twitter at Abbas Momin and AbbasMomin88 on Instagram. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll be back next week with a new movie and a new guest. Till then, Shauryam.
कार्यविषयं शौर्यं धीरे सौषधे सवां युवां च
Bye bye.
IVM